the two great tastes that taste great together. Anyways, the old cootie here, come back at you with another exciting video. So I just wanted to update real quick. I've got two kitchen experiments going on. The first one is sprouting microgreens in a mason jar. And the other one is making a super, let's call it the super fermented miscellaneous produce project, right? Sauerkraut, if that's what you want to call it. Basically what I did here was I put 2 tablespoons of Rainbow Heirlooms super, what is it? The spicy greens mix, just the regular spicy greens mix. So that one is like radish, turnip, and a few other things. And it's been sprouting beautifully. Like the roots have been growing, all that good stuff. If you notice these little like icicle-like things, like I mentioned in the other video about this, that's fine as long as they look like little icicles, right? Like this is a perfect example. So you've got like a main root and then you've got these little tiny side roots that are coming off of it. That's fine as long as they're not fuzzy or turning like a weird funky color like green or brown or whatever. That's totally fine. When I put my water in here, so I water this twice a day. When I put my water in here and swirl it around and shake it all around, you may notice that those roots might disappear for like a minute or a while or whatever. But overall, it's looking good, right? The microgreens are looking really, really good, right? And they're like, see that there's another example right there, center of the screen. Like you've got a main root and then you've got a bunch of little hairs that are coming off of the main root. Those are the roots. That's basically the roots of the individual sprout. And as you can see, the radish, the darker brown color, I think is the radish. The radish is looking good. There's also a turnip in there, and I think there's a few other things. But anyways, Rainbow Heirloom, I'll put some links down below in the description, also in the comment section for this product. But yeah, basically what I do is I used a sprouting lid, right? And then I put my 2 tablespoons of seeds in there, soaked them overnight. Then the next morning, basically drained off the water, put this jar in a cool, dark place, right? Like indirect sunlight, and just let it do its thing for 12 hours. So every 12 hours, then what I do is I kind of fill up the jar like maybe halfway or so, swirl it around, let all the seeds hydrate, and then pour out the water. And that's the whole point of having the sprouting lid. So you don't have to sit there and like strain it and then, you know, put it back in the jar or whatever. The sprouting lid allows you to strain it like straight from the jar. You just pour, let let most of the water out, and there you go. So that's this project. This one's still going good. I would say in about like maybe a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days, these will be bright green, lovely, fresh, you know, kind of, you're starting to see a little bit of it there. There's a little one there that's kind of going. But yeah, eventually these will sprout. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that probably most people don't do, but I like to do, is you have to remember that the microgreens, right, the little tiny microgreens that grow, that's most of, if not the entire amount of nutrients that these little suckers need to grow into the bigger plants. So packed with antioxidants, polyphenols, nutrients, minerals, all that stuff. What I'm going to do is once they've sprouted to about I would say about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I'm going to then ferment them. So I'm going to put some salt water in here, right? 1 tablespoon of salt 1 teaspoon of salt per every cup of water. So I'm going to put some water that's been salted in here to let them ferment to something similar to this. Okay, so this project, this is my fermented miscellaneous produce project. I would call it sauerkraut, technically kind of sort of, it's partly sauerkraut, but there's a lot of stuff going on in here. There's red cabbage, regular cabbage, celery, onion, carrot. Then I had fennel, right, with the leaves, with the tops, the fruffy part. Then I had dill. I put some dill in there for flavor. Then I also had, what else did I have in there? I had some ginger in there, right? And a few other things that right now I can't really remember. Oh, apple. I put apple in there to kind of add to the natural sweetness. So the apple and the carrots kind of give it like a natural sweetness thing going on. Garlic. There was garlic in there. So basically, this fermented miscellaneous produce is going to be just a powerhouse of antioxidants, polyphenols, right? You're getting fiber in there. This is for the gut bacteria, like good, healthy gut bacteria. I think more and more research is kind of pointing in that direction. If you want to, you know, just live a longer, healthier life, this is one of the things that you can do to kind of aid with that process or kind of help with that process. But yeah, you can kind of tell there are a few bubbles. See that bubble right there that's forming? So every morning, usually about once a day, what I'll do is I'll go in there with something like this, right? I'll go in there and just pack it down and press it down to push the air bubbles out so that more of the juice, right? The 1 teaspoon of salt per every 1 cup of water goes in there, and just all those miscellaneous produce soak up that salt water. And then just that's what makes the fermentation process, right? That's what helps the miscellaneous produce that's in there to ferment. Anyways, with that being said, I did put links down below to the ball mason jars and some other brands, but whatever floats your boat. These are the big ones. These are the 64 ounces. So basically like a half gallon, but down there below in the description, also in the comment section, there's a link to these. There's also a link to these weights, right? I think I have like different versions of these because these I bought pandemic. So I think now there might be a different version with like a more like a horizontal bar to be able to go in there, grab them and pick them out. And then the sprouting lids, right? Wide mouth. These are what's called wide mouth. The regular mouth, if you want to make like a smaller version, they do make the sprouting lids, but as of this day, I cannot find like glass weights for the regular mouth jars. But you can improvise, you know, whatever it takes. But the reason for using this is that you want to put this on top, right? So you would put this on top of the miscellaneous produce, and basically it keeps the very top of the produce below the water line. So that's important. If anything is above the water line, it could mold, spore, it could develop like a bad funky growth. So you want to leave everything submerged in that salt water. That way it can have a chance to ferment and do its thing. And just check it, you know, because of the red cabbage in here. Oh, and I think I threw in beets at the last minute. That wasn't in the previous video, but I did throw in some like raw beets. I peeled them, basically gave them a good wash, get all the dirt off, sliced them up pretty thin, and I put them in there. But the red cabbage and the beets are what's making this color so bright and brilliant and red, if you can tell. But eventually, yes, this will get the saltwater treatment as well, and these will be fermented just to take them to that next level. So that's basically the game plan. Anyways, with that being said, I'm Neil Coot, and I'll catch you all in the next exciting video.